Hey guys, how's it going? This is Dilmer again and welcome back to my channel. So before we actually go into the game engine, I want to discuss a little bit more about the game that we're going to be building in augmented reality. We have basically all the prep work completed. We have our code in Bitbucket. We have the ARKit plugin configured. And I think what we need to do now is we need to step back and decide, okay, what is it that we're going to be building? And I want to explain that to you in basically in this whiteboard because it's very important for us to know that before we actually start coding. So let me actually start with some of the objects, some of the artifacts that we're going to have in the game. And just to reiterate what we're going to be building in this game is we're going to be building actually a building. And these buildings are going to be created and we're going to be the ones responsible for destroying the buildings. So think about, whenever you see a building getting destroyed by, a company and they actually put bombs inside of the building, they have dynamite on the buildings, or there's a strategy behind these. So I want to build something in augmented reality that represents this. It's basically a demolition company. So some of the artifacts that we're gonna have are gonna be, so we might have a bomb that is basically, it's gonna look like this. It's gonna have a screen, and in the screen, and we're gonna have a little button here. And each bomb is gonna have a magnitude. So I'm gonna represent magnitude, and magnitude, it means how much damage we're gonna be able to do to the building. So magnitude is gonna be represented by M. I'm going to be adding arbitrary numbers. We might need to adjust these numbers. So let's say that the magnitude on this bomb is 50. Then we're going to have also a dynamite. It's going to look like something like this. And the magnitude on this one, it's going to be, let's say that it's going to be a little bit less. Let's say it's going to be 50% of that. So N here, it's gonna be 25. And then we're also gonna have another bomb, which is gonna be less magnitude. And that one, it's gonna be around, let's say it's gonna be around 10. So the magnitude on all of these ones are gonna depend on which one we're using when we wanna destroy the building. We might limit how many of these we have in every level. So we're going to be experimenting with some of those. The other thing that I want to add to all of these is how long does it actually take for the explosive to go off. So I'm going to represent that with T. So T is going to be our time. And I'm going to say that the time that it takes this explosive is going to be around, let's say it's going to be about 5 seconds. So it's going to be 5s. This one we'll give it 3 seconds. This one is going to be 2 seconds. We're going to adjust these numbers as we go. But what I want you to understand is that they're all going to have different properties and different behavior. We're going to be limiting this. We might have only this bomb on level number 1, level number 2, level number 3. Then we might introduce a new mechanic or a new object, which is the dynamite on other levels. And then on more advanced levels, on levels that we already taught the player how to use the bombs, we will introduce this bomb. So what we want to aim for is we want to be teaching the player how to play our game. So we're going to start from here, where we're going to be showing them how to use this bomb. And then we're going to introduce the player to these other bombs. So the next thing that I want to show you is, yeah, we have bombs. So now, what are we going to destroy? And I want to represent that with a wall. All the buildings are going to be built from walls. I'm not going to make it too complicated. We're basically going to be stacking walls and making kind of a cubic room in order to stack walls on top of each other and actually represent and make something that looks like a building. And we also talked about, so this is basically our walls. And they all have the same length on each side. So before I tell you the length on each side, I also want to remind you that we talked about augmented reality being in meters. So if I'm about 6 feet high, which I'm gonna put myself in here, and my height is around 6 feet. So remember that I told you that everything in augmented reality is in meters. So I'm about 1.82 meters. So I want these, when I'm working in augmented reality, I don't want to make these walls too big to the point that I can't really reach them in augmented reality. I want them to be, somewhere near to my height so that I can actually move my phone. So just think about this being my phone. I want to be able to move around the buildings and be able to place bombs on the buildings in areas where I can reach. So I'm gonna actually make sure that the structures are not gonna go beyond my hip. So if my hip is around here, we might make these, nothing larger than, let's say 0.7 meters. That's what I'm gonna go with. So if we're making the walls, if we're gonna be making walls, we wanna make sure that, those walls are gonna be not bigger than 0.7 meters, and we're not just gonna have one wall, we're gonna have multiple walls. So just think about this whenever we're designing the game, because that's gonna be we're basically going through the game design. We're adding rules, we're adding limits on how we're gonna be building this thing. Don't jump into the game engine and don't think about these things, because it's gonna make it a lot more complicated and you're actually gonna start noticing that things are taking you longer because you really haven't given it a lot of thought. So always think about all the objects that you're gonna be having in the scene. Look at what behavior they're gonna have in the game, how are you gonna be introducing that to the player, how are they going to interact with it, because that's very, very important when it comes to gameplay and making a fun experience. So on these walls, if we're going to be, if our max is going to be 0.7 meters, I'm going to make these walls around 0.05 meters on each side. And we're going to be playing with these numbers. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect right now. So, and the reason for that is because we're going to be stacking them. We also may have some walls where, we might, so if we're stacking let's say that we're creating a room and we're going to be stacking, stacking these walls to kind of represent, I'll just make it in 2D. So let's say that we have a wall right here, we also have a wall right here, and we stack another wall which becomes the floor. Then we have another wall right here, another wall right here, and then lead. So what I wanna do is, this is the floor. So what I wanna do is I wanna have some areas where I'm leaving a little bit of a gap. So I might have an area where I'm gonna be leaving a gap like that. The reason why I want to leave the gap is because I want to be able to put a bomb right here as well. I might want to put one of these ones in here, or in other areas that are basically closed down like this. I may want to basically put a bomb right on that wall. And let's say that we have many other walls stacked on top of this one. So if we have a bomb that has a larger magnitude, we're gonna have a better chance of destroying the building. So those are gonna be some of the objects that we're gonna have in the game. So just to reiterate, we're gonna have 3 different types of bombs. Some of them are gonna have a larger impact and a larger damage in our building. Other ones are gonna have, they're gonna take longer for them to be triggered. This one is gonna be 5 seconds before an explosion happens. The dynamite is going to be 3 seconds, and the smaller bomb is going to be about 2 seconds. We also talk about, how big we're going to be making these structures. We decided that we're going to be making them no larger than 0.7 meters. That way they're around our hips. And when it comes to, going around a building in augmented reality, we can easily go around the building, get basically to the areas where we need to put the bombs much easier. And then I also show you basically a 2D representation on how the buildings are going to look like. And these buildings are going to be much larger than what I show you. This is basically a two level building. We may have buildings that are 7 levels high. We can also go really wide. So just stay tuned for the next video. I'm gonna be showing you how to actually create some of these models in 3D in the game engine. We're gonna be using Pro Builder. I've been doing videos about Pro Builder before, so just watch some of those videos if you're interested. There's also a lot of great content in YouTube about how to use Pro Builder in Unity. So if you have any questions, let me know. Let's actually get to the 3D and I'll show you that on the next video. Thanks, guys.